Let us pray. As we welcome today's processional, bearing the ashes of Lieutenant Jay Wheeler and escorting his family into this sacred space, we symbolically recognize each of our fallen firefighters who through the years have led a procession of courage, commitment, and competence that define their service to the people of this city. Our Lord would call these in their vocation saints, and in a processional hymn we prayerfully declare, "O may your soldiers, faithful, true, and bold, fight as the saints who nobly fought of old, and win with them the victor's crown of gold." Today, you and I join in this procession of thanksgiving to offer comfort and support to the families of the fallen and to call to memory all those who are the foundation of this fire department through their sacrifices and their gifts of service, again declaring, "You, Lord, were their rock, their fortress, and their might. You, Lord, the captain in the well-fought fight." May God give each of us who gather here today the grace that in this procession of remembering our fallen, we have this same mind of their commitment in all we do. Amen.
Good morning to all in attendance. I would like to invite everyone standing to please take a seat if you like. And I'd like to welcome you to the Seattle Fire Department 2020 Fallen Firefighters Memorial. And thank you for your presence and thank you all for being here. As we start this morning's remarks, I would like to invite up Deputy Mayor Mike Fong to say a few words.
Good morning. Thank you, Chief Scoggins, for that introduction. And on behalf of Mayor Durkin, I thank you and all the first responders for your commitment to our city. It's an honor to stand before you today and take part in this special remembrance of our fallen firefighters. Since 1889, the names of firefighters who have given their lives in the line of duty are etched in this memorial. But today's remembrance includes a salute to all firefighters and their loved ones across our nation. Although we aren't able to gather in person as we normally would with all firefighters in a broader part of our community due to public health guidance, the honor can still be felt far and wide. The men and women whose names are inscribed in our memorial face the daily dangers of their jobs bravely. Across the nation, firefighter lives have been lost from duty-related illness, wildfires, structure fires, and now COVID-19. But in the face of this new danger, they remain steadfast in their commitment to protect lives and property and put their own health and safety on the line to be heroes for so many others. To our fallen firefighters, and to those who remain with us today, you and your families have my deepest gratitude for your courage, sacrifice, and service. This year, we are adding Seattle firefighter Lieutenant Jay Wheeler's name to the memorial. Jay died of a duty-related illness in March, and his loss is still deeply felt by all who knew him. I've been told that without the devotion of the entire family, a fire department would not be able to survive. Here with us today is wife Val, his children, his sister, his parents, and extended family. Jay was described as a man filled with integrity, empathy, courage, and compassion, who loved his family and coworkers dearly. He served our city first as a member of the Seattle Police Department before transitioning to the fire department in 1997. Thank you, Jay, for your many years of dedicated service to Seattle and the many lives that you've touched along the way. I want to again express my profound thanks to each and every first responder in our city. With over 90,000 calls each year, your efforts save lives across the city each day. And I am grateful and honored to have the opportunity to be among you, to honor those we've lost among our ranks. I'll turn this back over to Chief Scoggins. Thank you.
Welcome, and thank you for joining us today. Deputy Mayor Fong, our council members and elected officials, thank you all for being with us. Chief Diaz, your presence is particularly meaningful because of the close working relationship between our two departments. And the firefighter we honor today was first a Seattle police officer before he became a Seattle firefighter. We are honored to have Local 2898 represented today by Deputy Chief Tom Walsh and Local 27 President Lieutenant Kenny Stuart here with us today. And to the Wheeler family, thank you for being here. Your presence, it means a lot to our organization. And to those watching on the live stream who have lost a loved one in the line of duty, we are privileged also by your presence. Thank you to the Seattle Channel for broadcasting this event to allow for us to be together in a different way. I'd like to recognize our Seattle Firefighter Pipes and Drum Band and the Walter E. Kilgore Memorial Honor Guard. Your presence always brings honor and dignity to our events. We'll never forget. These two words are spoken with great respect, never forget, and in remembrance of the firefighters who put their lives on the line for us and have paid the ultimate sacrifice. They are spoken to let their families, loved ones, and colleagues know our fallen will never be forgotten. Each October, we gather here at this memorial to pause, reflect, and remember. We are not doing it alone. Fire departments across this nation also pause in October to remember their fallen members. Last weekend, ahead of today's memorial, we participated for the first time in the National Light the Night for Fallen Firefighters event. CenturyLink Field, T-Mobile Park lit up in red, and our fire stations turned on their apparatus emergency lights. We also had community members show their support by changing out their porch lights and sharing photos to honor our fallen. I want to say thank you to both stadiums and to the community for showing their appreciation for those who have died in the line of duty. This year, our annual memorial service looks a bit different due to the COVID-19 pandemic. We unfortunately are not able to have all of our department members here with us to gather due to public health guidance. But even though we aren't all here in person, the meaningfulness and honor of this event is felt across the department and across the community. As chaotic as this year has been, we knew we needed to try to ground ourselves in one of the most important traditions in the fire service. Inviting people to watch online is particularly challenging to our personnel and to all who have been doing it now for quite a while. In March, we lost Lieutenant Jay Wheeler to a line of duty illness. Because of the pandemic, we were not able to give Lieutenant Wheeler a full honor service as he passed in March. So today is not only our traditional remembrance to all of our fallen, but we are also using this as an opportunity to provide Lieutenant Wheeler a more proper send-off. Our memorial here in Seattle is a special site dedicated to the memory of all the Seattle firefighters who have given their life in service to this community. The creation of this memorial was inspired by the incredibly tragic loss of Lieutenant Walter Kilgore, Lieutenant Gregory Shoemaker, firefighter Randall Terlicker, and firefighter James Brown in the 1995 Pang Warehouse arson fire. Even though each of us may have a close connection to a Seattle firefighter whose name is on the column behind me, today we remember all. The design of this memorial communicates this sentiment well. The face of each firefighter was intentionally obscured so it can honor the thousands of firefighters who have worn the Seattle Fire uniform and those yet to wear it. Being a firefighter is one of the most admired professions in this country. The desire to serve others is in our blood. It becomes who we are, whether we are wearing our Class A uniforms, our bunking gear, or in civilian clothes. This deeply rooted ethic can also come at a cost, as we know. Today, we are honoring Lieutenant Jay Wheeler, who paid the ultimate sacrifice because of his desire to be a firefighter and protect this city and its residents. I want to thank the Seattle Police Department for joining us today. And you can see many of them are represented here today with us. They provided a motorcade escort for the procession, patrol vehicles, and members of their honor guard to participate. I am happy we are bringing our departments together to honor Jay's memory. It means a lot. Throughout his fire service career, Jay spent time working on ladders 5, 9, and 11, engines 36 and 38, and most recently, Rescue 1 and Engine 29. Both of these units are here with us today, behind us. He also worked at the Fire Alarm Center and then the Fire Prevention Division. In June 2017, I was proud and honored to give Jay his lieutenant's helmet, where he stepped up into a leadership role and continued to serve others. He will be forever remembered as a man of great intellect, empathy, strength, and courage by those who knew him, and his memory will live on in all of our Seattle fire stations. He, of course, had a great love for his family and devoted himself professionally to this community. Jay served 8 years with the Seattle Police Department and 22 years with the Seattle Fire Department for a total of 30 years of dedicated service to this community. Thank you, Jay, for your service. Jay, like many others whose names are on the memorial, became ill because of the job he so loved. This is a risk, something each of us must live with each and every day. We all know it as firefighters. I want to make sure we also thank and honor Jay's wife, Val. She, like every other firefighter's spouse or family members, are all owed a debt of gratitude. And I want to honor his children, his parents, and other close relatives and friends who are here with us today. Living with or being married to a firefighter means not knowing if your loved one will come home after their shift. It also means wondering if or when a mental or physical health condition may interrupt their otherwise normal lives. Our loved ones display such grace and bravery by allowing us to go to work each day and do what we love. Today is a day to remember Jay, to remember his sacrifice and the sacrifice of his family, his friends, and his colleagues who miss him deeply. We will never forget. As we reflect on all of Seattle's fallen today, we must also look ahead. These firefighter deaths remind us to always be vigilant to the dangers our members face every day. With all that is going on in the world today, I also want to remember firefighters nationwide who have recently died from contracting COVID-19 in service to others. It's an important reminder. As the pandemic hit, we never stopped responding. Our firefighters never stopped coming in. We kept showing up each and every day, and we should honor all those who have been lost. This job brings many challenges, and until this year, we probably did not consider we would be living in a pandemic, another risk to our on-duty related health. I applaud all who work in public safety for continuing to put their lives on the line for others each and every day. You know, often you'll hear me say around the department, we're here to serve. It's in our heart. It's who we are. In a few moments, our honor guard will sound a bell in memory of the courageous firefighters who have given the ultimate selfless sacrifice. The bell is a significant emblem in the fire service. It represents the call to duty. It alerts a firefighter that someone needs help. It announces when a firefighter has answered the final alarm. Today, it draws us together to honor all we have lost and thank those who continue to respond with compassion and care for the people of Seattle every day. Next, I would like to invite up Lieutenant Kenny Stuart, President of Local 27.
Well, good morning. My name is Kenny Stuart, and I want to first welcome the Wheeler family here to an incredible memorial. It's a sad day to add the name of one of our brothers or sisters to this memorial, but it's an amazing place that now belongs to you and belongs to Jay. I'm honored to be here this morning representing the almost 1,000 proud Seattle firefighters who respond in 3 minutes or less when called for help. On behalf of Seattle Firefighters Union, IAFF Local 27, I want to recognize the sacrifices made by our brothers and sisters who've given so much in service of the community here in Seattle, and especially today, Jay Wheeler. I also want to thank all of you who've come here today, taken your time, whether it's in person or virtually, to honor, remember, and reflect on these sacrifices. In addition to being a great guy, Jay more than lived up to his responsibilities as a firefighter. He was dedicated, dependable, and a respected member of our department. He had a huge smile, a booming voice and laugh, and a lot of us in the department learned from him, and we all won't forget him. He worked hard and willingly accepted the risks of this profession to serve others. But his noble commitment exacted a terrible price. The terrible scourge of cancer in the fire service is one of the constant invisible enemies, along with heart attacks and suicide, that firefighters face. Unfortunately, we have a long history of honoring firefighters who've made the ultimate sacrifice because of the job that we do. So, IAFF Local 27 intentionally rededicates ourselves to the safety and the security of our members, our firefighters, with every tragic death. And it's in the memory of firefighters like Jay that we go back to our work to make sure that we're doing everything that we can to protect firefighters. Today's firefighters endure a greater variety of challenges and risks than ever before. Our workplace constantly changes from a burning building to a crumpled vehicle, from a high-rise to a dark alley, from a park bench to a burning building to a busy freeway, from a dark tunnel to a COVID testing site. With only moments to prepare, firefighters are faced with smoke, fire, hazardous materials, speeding vehicles, mentally ill or intoxicated patients, attacks with weapons, infectious disease, and carcinogens. But these exposures and experiences not only pose a physical risk, but a mental risk as well. They, along with the human suffering that we witness, can have a lasting impact on firefighters, and that gets brought home to our families. That's why the fire department is a family, and why our traditions, like our memorial, our amazing honor guard, and pipes and drums are so important. And that's another reason that we gather here today. Not only to remember and honor Jay Wheeler, and to those who have fallen in Seattle in the past and across the country, but to gather and reaffirm the ties that bind us together, to continue those traditions that stretch back through the years in the fire service, and to prepare the rest of us to carry on. Every firefighter willingly accepts these challenges and these sacrifices when they sign up for this job. But it's our responsibility as a community to always remember and support those who put themselves in harm's way for others. Today we're doing that, and again, on behalf of Local 27, I want to recognize and make sure that the family of Jay Wheeler and Val know that you're part of our family forever. Now going to introduce Chief Tom Walsh.
Good morning. I'd like to echo the thanks for showing up to the mayor's office. It means a lot. Police chief, that means a lot as well. And of course, the Wheeler family, that means a ton. Jay was one of mine, multiple assignments throughout the fire department. He's a good man and he's missed. Firefighting it's a rewarding occupation. You say that, and unless you do it, you can't appreciate how rewarding it is. I say this every time, but it's true every time. I feel bad for people who are not a part of this because it's a wonderful thing. We are blessed to have an opportunity to serve the public and help people in times of true immediate need. I don't think any of us in the job would choose a different profession given the choice. The job does, however, come with a certain amount of sacrifice. You don't walk out of this career the same way you walked into it. At the heart, it's a blue-collar job. It makes physical demands on you. It makes mental demands on you. Nobody walks away without 1,000 memories they didn't really need. And you walk away broken somehow. Being broken like that is just a hazard of the job that most of us willingly trade for the opportunity to be able to serve the public in this way. There are times, though, when the job demands a much more substantial sacrifice. It's a dangerous profession. The environment we work in is very unforgiving. Errors, unexpected events, and just plain bad luck have much greater consequences in this job than they do in other professions. And that risk is taken for granted every day by the men and women of the Seattle Fire Department. Everybody whose name is etched onto that monument knew and accepted this risk. Still, each death comes as a bit of a shock, because not one person on that monument knew when they went into work that day that it would be their last day. No one knew when the bell hit that that would be their last alarm. And when they approached that incident, they never thought that they wouldn't come out. And that's half the tragedy, is that it is a life cut short unexpectedly. But even more insidious is the occupational illnesses that claim firefighters' lives. We spend a career working around carcinogens, absorbing harmful chemicals through our skins. They thought in the 70s and the 80s when they introduced masks that would make it go down, but it's the environment. It's not just the lungs, it's the skin. And the sacrifice of these fallen firefighters is no less than those who died on the fire ground. They did die on the fire ground, just delayed. And of course, as has been alluded to by Lieutenant Stuart, there's the third little dirty secret in the fire department, and that is the suicide rate. That is also quite high. And the sacrifice of these fallen firefighters is also no less. These deaths, of course, don't occur within a vacuum. They leave a hole in the workforce. They leave a hole in a family. Everybody was a parent or a son or a daughter. And it's a hole that doesn't go away. The sacrifice they made for the citizens of Seattle wasn't theirs alone, but also the family, and we appreciate that. Most of us with any time on the job know some of the people whose names are etched into this monument. Those are always the most painful and the most remembered. But we should all think that that list of names goes back to 1890. It spans all ranks, from firefighter to battalion chief. And I encourage you today, if you get a chance, just go ahead and give those names a look, because their sacrifice was no less than anyone else's name on that wall. And it's for all of them that we are here today. May they rest in peace. Thank you.
Honor guard! Uniform personnel! On and hit!
I am honored to acknowledge with respect and dignity the fallen Seattle firefighters. Firefighter Herman Larson, Engineer Charles E. Bradan, Captain J. N. Longfellow, Firefighter Patrick Cooper, Battalion Chief Fred G. Gilham, Firefighter Oli G. Rouse, Firefighter Charles F. Lucchese, Captain Horace E. Roberts, Firefighter William E. Schoberg, Firefighter Cecil McKenzie, Firefighter Darwin T. Lunn, Firefighter Charles E. Wheeler, Captain Albert S. Walper, Firefighter Theodore R. Kushlin, Firefighter Luther D. Bonner, Firefighter Fred O. Larson, Captain Andrew G. Beatty, Firefighter Jack W. McGee, Firefighter Glenn S. Murphy, Firefighter James Wally. Firefighter John F. Huron. Captain Harold W. Webb. Firefighter Henry C. Gunnerud. Firefighter Gerald Miller. Firefighter Lisa J. Long. Firefighter Mary R. Matthews. Firefighter Robert D. Earhart. Lieutenant Matthew W. Johnson. Firefighter Donald L. Perry. Lieutenant Walter D. Kilgore. Firefighter James T. Brown. Firefighter Randall L. Terlicker. Lieutenant Gregory A. Shoemaker. Firefighter Gary V. Medica. Deputy Chief Gerald N. Moberg. Firefighter Nathaniel Ford. Firefighter Timothy J. Heelan. Battalion Chief James H. Scragg. Battalion Chief David H. Jacobs, Jr. Firefighter Stephen Lohr. Deputy Chief Jesse F. Youngs. Firefighter Jeffrey Burt. Firefighter Jess Hernandez. Firefighter Keith I. Johnson. Firefighter Wallace F. Goulet. Firefighter Joshua Milton. Firefighter Tristan Smith. Firefighter Scott Steed. Captain Craig Amon. Firefighter Marvin Larry. Lieutenant Wheeler. Lieutenant J. Wheeler. Lieutenant J. Wheeler.
The men and women of today's fire service are confronted with a more dangerous work environment than ever before. We are forced to continually change our strategies and tactics to accomplish our tasks. Our methods may change, but our goals to remain the same as they were in the past, to save lives and to protect property, sometimes at a terrible cost. This is what we do. This is our chosen profession. This is the tradition of the firefighter. The fire service today is ever-changing, but is steeped in traditions 200 years old. One such tradition is the sound of a bell. In the past, as firefighters began their tour of duty, it was the bell that signaled the beginning of the day's shift. Throughout the day and night, each alarm was sounded by a bell, which summoned these brave souls to fight fires and to place their lives in jeopardy for the good of their fellow citizen. And when the fire was out and the alarm had come to an end, it was the bell that signaled to all the completion of that call. When a firefighter had died in the line of duty, paying the supreme sacrifice, it was the mournful toll of the bell that solemnly announced a comrade's passing. We utilize these traditions as symbols, which reflect honor and respect on those who have given so much and who have served so well. To symbolize the devotion that these brave souls had for their duty, a special signal of 5 rings, 4 times each, box 555, represents the end of our comrades' duties and that they will be returning to quarters. And so, to those who have selflessly given their lives for the good of their fellow men, their tasks completed, their duties well done, to our comrades, their last alarm, they are going home. As this family now prepares to be in procession from this place. In this sacred space, we take comfort from those who have fought the good fight, whose names and memories among us will never be forgotten. We pray that as we leave from here, our Lord would come by our side to give us comfort, would come from behind to give us strength, would be above us to watch over, to guard, and to guide us, and especially within us to give us peace. Amen. Honor guard, uniformed personnel, dismiss.